Hello friends, it's my pleasure to welcome Linn Roslund to the IKEA Community Show. Linn is Managing Director at IKEA Supply South Asia and is based in Bengaluru. Linn has been with IKEA for about 14 years now, during which time she has taken up leadership roles as diverse as product development, new business identification, category management, change management, global sourcing, and now sourcing from South Asia, including India. In April this year, Linn was a speaker at India Kitchen Congress, where she explained how India's furniture and home improvement SMEs can become sustainable enterprises. Our conversation today is a follow-up to what she had prescribed at IKEA, and I hope to have a better understanding about IKEA's strategy for developing an ecosystem of supply partners in India. Hello, Linn. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Deepak. It's so overwhelming to hear you describe my background. Nice to meet you again.
Well, I hope I got it right.
Yes, you covered many of the parts. So as you were saying, today I live in India and work with IKEA Supply South Asia and lead our teams and business and agenda here from a supply perspective.
So I did good, at least.
Yes, definitely.
So Linn, IKEA has been in the news lately for its sourcing operations. And I read that IKEA has a 50-year history of sourcing from India. What have been the key learnings about buying from India, and what makes you so optimistic about being able to increase sourcing from India?
I think that it started 50 years ago, where the first pioneers of IKEA Supply was entering India from a carpet and textile point of view, where our first partners came from. And usually that's the way we drive the supply. We identify entrepreneurs, partners, manufacturers that believe in innovation, product development, and low cost. So this journey has continued throughout the 50 years, and now we see a common interest going forward between the manufacturers that are developing and opening in India and what we are living for to create a better everyday life for the many people. And many of them live in India.
So you think that Indian enterprises are able to align with your motto of producing things which are of low cost, good design, and for the many, not for the few? I think that's they are able to align with this mission.
Yes, I think Indian producers already show that for 50 years. So we don't do our own manufacturing. We identify supply partners and work with them to create a sustainable supply chain. And that we have done in India the last 50 years within textile, mattresses, plastic, metal, and sofas. So we see that those are areas where we are successful the last 50 years. And of course, with a wish and a dream to join a global supply chain network, we get more and more manufacturers that contacts us and wants to work together with us on that mission.
How do you meet Indian suppliers? Do you go out in search of them? Do they connect with you? How does that happen?
Yeah, we have today on the IKEA website, there is a link if you want to be a partner to IKEA. And if a partner is signing up there, it will be directed to me or one of my colleagues in making sure that we answer up on what they are connecting with us on. But of course, also, I'm out, like I was visiting your kitchen congress in Bangalore in March. I'm out also meeting partners. And sometimes it's friends and families to current manufacturers that contacts us. So it's a network that is growing, where of course, partners that wants to fulfill global requirements and that have a wish to work closely with us on innovation or creating a low-cost agenda are all welcome to use one of these channels.
You mentioned a few product categories like textiles, furnishings, and plastic and metals. Could you elaborate a bit on what are the product categories more in detail?
So, I mean, the ones I was mentioning now, the textiles and plastic, metal, mattresses and sofas, those are the ones that we've been leading so far. And then, of course, when supply chains becomes mature, we are into also expanding the sourcing of them. So one example is, for example, is Hållbar, who I was talking about. It's the waste bins that we are doing in IKEA. They are a plastic product that had been produced in India for a while. And now lately it has 50% recycled plastic because we can work together with the full supply chain and the ecosystems of partners in the supply chain to make it also a sustainable product from a material and cost point of view. And we are moving into more businesses going ahead, depending on that the partners are mature, that we have entrepreneurs that wants to work together with us, and preconditions are set from a requirement point of view.
Which other categories are going to be your areas of focus?
We talked a little bit about furnitures when we met last time, and I mean it's important for us that we understand the local requirements on furnitures. And this we are looking into. We are working with a partner that is working with sustainable forest management, because if we are going to produce furniture going forward, we need to make sure that we have responsibly sourced wood as a base material. So it's a little bit more long-term vision. We've been into it for a long time, many years. And now we see examples where eucalyptus forests are grown with the help of partners using seedlings, selling to farmers, and getting the farmers to sell back to a market price so that we can create furniture from it. But it's an ecosystem that needs to be built up, and transforming supply chains like that, it takes time.
Very interesting. I have some questions on ecosystem, but I'll come to those a bit later. But before that, I'd like to bring up one topic that you mentioned at India Kitchen Congress, that is circularity. And you mentioned that circularity is a starting point. So what do you mean by that? Could you elaborate what is circularity and why is it so important for IKEA?
It's important for us because we decided a few years ago that we will transform the whole business. And as I was mentioning in the two examples now about Hållbar and also eucalyptus forest, it's about being into it for a long run. And if we want to go back to our vision and our business idea of creating better everyday life for the many people, we need to make sure that it has the same impact in the future as we envision it right now. So circularity, it is everything about designing the products from beginning so that they can be separated, because you're creating the preconditions already on the drawing table for a product to be circular. We want to create ecosystems where we can transform materials into be reused, recycled, and renewed, refurbished products as well. And then we see that this complete solution needs to reach our customers so that they also has the opportunity to separate it, that they can get it in a sustainable way by low carbon footprint of our transports. So it's really it's a long-term goal that IKEA has set, and it forces us to beginning in the drawing desk, and from beginning when we are creating business cases, to think not only cost or not only short-term gains, but on the long-term holistic system that we will impact. And this is what it's all about.
So circularity, you mean, is about designing a product which can be taken apart by the user and the material can be reused. Is that it, or there is more to it?
No, that is one part. The other part is about what material we are using, that we try to use pure materials and materials that can be recycled and renewed. It's also about sustainable logistic chains. So it's the complete parts that are meeting our customers. Not only the products should be separated. We are not putting responsibility on our end consumers. We are making sure that the products is something we can be proud of also tomorrow.
So can you give me an example of a product, a family of products that, according to you, are circular and as per your definition?
I think that we don't, let me think now. I have products, but usually we try to go per material. So, for example, if you take Indira bedspread, which is a bed cover that is made of textiles. It is also from recycled textiles. So meaning that all the rest parts that we have in production, we can use in Indira bedspread. We can also, once the product is out in the markets, we know that it is made in a cotton blend which can be recycled by others. So already from beginning, we've been thinking about it should have a good start of what material we are using. It should be possible to recycle, but it should also have a long lifespan before we recycle. I have a couple of Indira bedspreads that I've had since I was a teenager. And they have followed me here to India, and they continue to be a good product that we can use. And similar is about the plastic products we are using. We are avoiding to use composites so that we can create a flow for those to be circular again. We are exploring on different markets on how can we also be positive with taking back products. And we have tested here in India as well. For example, we are creating products from our co-worker clothes in India by recycling them and doing a towel and a handkerchief range. So we do different pilots in different markets. And of course, SMEs are very important in that journey because it creates new steps in the value chain that someone needs to innovate and work with, and it creates jobs for new companies in the value chain to make that change.
Yeah, but going into circularity, as you rightly said, involves a lot of parties, the manufacturer and the reuser or the converter. Another set of converters would be required. Or would this not add to the cost of the product or make the refurbished product also more expensive?
In the case of Hållbar, it reduced the cost with 16% to work closely with those, as you say, waste pickers, transformers, aggregators, and in the end, the partners that we are working with, because there's an untapped potential in utilizing waste in our supply chains. But of course, it has to be used in an ecosystem, and often it creates more regional opportunities than global opportunities, which is where I think small and medium-sized companies really come in and play a picture in that value chain. But in IKEA, we never say it can be sacrificed towards the customer in the price. It has to be covering its own cost.
You also mentioned that one of the outcomes is that the lifespan of the product also increases dramatically or significantly. You cited the bedspread which you've had since your earlier years, young years, and then followed you to India. So does every product category, every product give itself to a longer lifespan? How does that happen?
No, it's not. It's not per default. It's about working with. So we have a concept called democratic design in IKEA. So when we design products, we have 5 parameters that every product needs to live up to, and it needs to be a beautiful product. It needs to have a good function, because we are into a low cost segment and a mid cost segment where we want to create functions for our customers. Good quality, low price, and sustainable. And every product needs to fulfill all 5. So it's never about sacrificing one or the other. It's the 5 parameters that help us design products and challenge ourselves to not be too short-sighted. So it's a good model to make us think about the different parameters and make sure that they are balanced. Because of course there is always dilemmas when you develop products, and this tool with democratic design is helping us to challenge ourselves in those dilemmas.
You are saying that there's no trade-off between cost and design, good design and cost.
No, I think the IKEA PS collection that we have has shown that over and over again. It is one of the collections that IKEA is doing, and we've done since many years back. And IKEA PS is about having good design to a low cost, reaching many with a high volume. And these have created many icons in our range. So it's there was just now a recent one launched last year. So maybe some of you can go in and see what are those products. It's a low cost range trying to really emphasize on low cost and good function.
But we often see that products which have got great design are turn out to be quite costly, you know. So is that because there's a lack of vision at the design end, or is it a business strategy? Why do well-designed products turn out to be costly?
Is that a reflection on the IKEA range,
No,
or
I'm
overall?
not talking about IKEA, in the outside world.
I think I mean now I cannot comment on others, but I think the dilemma we often face is that if you move quickly, or if you do not take all the different parameters in account and make sure to prioritize them, it is easier to make a costly product when it's a good design. But what we've learned is that when we take time and we really dig down and are interested in every step in our value chain, we can usually find ways and areas where we can do things smarter and better without jeopardizing design. It takes a little bit more effort. It takes a couple of really great entrepreneurs in the value chain that are willing to think one more time and rethink existing concepts. But that has been an experience that creates then better products and not necessarily a higher price.
When you try to develop a product on the basis of democratic design, is it the initiative of IKEA, or do you wait for an SME to come up with such a unique product?
Most of the time, since we have a value chain which starts with getting input from what are the needs and dreams of our customers, we do a lot of home visits every year in every market. That is the insights that we use in initiating new products. And also that is why we are keeping together the design from Älmhult in IKEA of Sweden, because there we have a team that are specializing and learning year on year. Then that products are often almost ready, and then they will develop together with manufacturers. So before we set the final design, we make sure that we have production involved in giving input and ideas on how things can be produced. So it's a mix of having a very experienced team, knowing and translating customer wishes into products, and then together with our partners. Then, of course, many of our partners, since they have long-term partnership with us, in India, the average time is 11 years. They also learn and get experience of what is normally the feedback on their products or their product types. So they are good contribution in that process towards our product development.
So if your suppliers have been working with you for such a long time, typically a decade, you mentioned 11 years, do they in this time develop their own capabilities to innovate and to do R&D and to come up with new product ideas? Does that happen?
Yes, it happens. And I mean, isn't that great? If they can also be a strong contributor in the value chain. What we do is that we start to work with entrepreneurs in different phases of their learning circle. So it can be small enterprises that needs to surround them with an ecosystem. It can be medium sized, but it can also be strong partners that already know how to develop things. And then we don't limit any of our partners to be only with IKEA. We believe in that learning from each other is a success for all of us.
Do your small and medium supply partners, do they need to be, well, if they are small and medium, obviously they don't have huge investment capacities, but then how are they able to match up with your strict requirements if they don't have the investment capability?
No, investment capabilities we can always help them with. What I think is the key differentiator, if they can work with IKEA or not, is that we need to have a set of requirements that we are legally compliant, that our partners work with sustainability, and that they understand how to work with consistent quality over time. Because priority for us is safety for our customers. So our customer needs to have a safe product. Co-workers working in our value chains have to have a fair wage and insurance and all the legal requirements that is also valid in India. And there is a need that we work with sustainability for the long term, where our partners in India today are on 70% renewable energy, and it's continuing to grow. So you are right that there is a high standard to be an IKEA supplier. But it's not about investments. It's about having a good control of the requirements and your cost structure as a company.
Could you share an example of a product which has been developed on the basis of democratic design in India for the Indian market?
I think that the carpets is a good story, because it's also a long-term love for between IKEA and India, where it started to be developed by artisans and weavers in the villages of India, where the products was handmade, had a beautiful design, had a good quality, a good price and value for product, and also it's a sustainable ecosystem where you are creating jobs. But then these products has now developed throughout the years into be block printed carpets, polyester carpets, and other versions, and that creates an opportunity to have a bigger range. So we can have carpets that are for the thinner wallet, we can have carpets that are for the smaller room or the smaller home, and still I think the carpets from India is just amazing, and they get developed now also together in a global network of suppliers doing carpets for IKEA. So I think, I mean, an example of democratic design is that if you decide it's a handmade high value product, or if it's a block print, you can still create a beautiful product, and they both need to live up to the quality of the customer. So that is how I maybe would like to explain democratic design. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes.
I get. But I was hoping that there would be more such examples. For you, you mentioned you talked of sofas.
So I mean, in India at the moment, we have a range. Sorry, I forgot the name. It will come to me, the name of the range. But we have a range now with storage furnitures that are produced and developed in India. And then, I mean, the beautiful design is about having products that fit the standards of the local market. It's about having a nice color, which is a darker color, which is appreciated by many of our Indian consumers, but also the white option for the ones that are living in a more city context. And then the prices, by producing them locally, by having a supplier that is focusing in the full value chain, this range also gains a lower cost towards our consumers. So we are just in the beginning of that journey, and I'm sure that will pay off. But it has started, so that's very inspiring, and it keeps me going.
You must have heard of government's decision to implement quality control orders and bring in strict quality control and BIS certification on many raw materials that go into furniture and the complete furniture itself. So, do you think that would have affected or jeopardized or hampered your development processes in India?
I think think we have the same goal. So yes, I have heard about QCOs, and the intention with the QCOs is to have safe products for consumers and to enforce the quality standards of products in India. And that is completely a match with IKEA. So this part we work with and we like. And I mean, we are transforming into meeting the standards and trying to understand what that means. It takes time to develop supply chains. So I think the biggest challenge for us is the timelines and the speed that we want to implement things. So here we are learning, and it keeps us energized and moving forward.
What I've heard is that because of the QCOs, there was a lot of challenge in getting the imported raw materials into India. And since the Indian raw material ecosystem was not developed, it created a bit of a supply gap. And Indian industry is rushing or trying hard to set up capacities to feed the demand for the product and yet match the new quality standards which have been ordained by the government. So would that affect your supply chain, the stoppage of imported raw materials into India?
I think it affects the whole supply chain network, because the way we operate, we don't operate singularly different countries. In the same way as we are importing to India raw materials, we are also exporting final products. So I would say it impacts the flow of goods and the opportunity to create jobs also for export. And that is the main challenge, because if a product can be successful in India with Indian raw material, it will be successful everywhere. But I think that we need to let it take time to do that transformation. And that has been our main point, because there is so many entrepreneurs and manufacturers in India creating now prerequisites for going forward. But we need to let it take time so that it also becomes successful long term. Because of course we want the products coming from India no matter where they are sold, if they're sold in India or in other markets, to be known for its quality and its safety for consumers. And I think that is more where we are focusing at the moment. And I think we've started a fantastic journey together.
Well, you have plans to increase your sourcing, take your sourcing up to 50% of whatever you sell in India. Source 50% of that from within India. So if development of new products and new suppliers takes such a long time, then is this not a very difficult target to achieve, 50%?
The majority of the business we do today is export. So meaning that creating preconditions for a locally relevant range and products that are produced in India for India consumers, this we can manage. We know how to produce furniture and we have started a journey. But to really take it up to a big impact for co-workers in manufacturing, for different partners and for consumers, we need to have it connected to the global network. And that is what will take time. So the 50% goal for India, it's a good commitment for us, going to make sure that we have the best price and the best products for our Indian consumers.
Talking about the ecosystem of supply partners, where you want to develop supply partners as a long-term mission with collaborative strategy aimed at building a sustainable, agile, and innovative global value chain. I read this. So how could you explain a bit more about this ecosystem concept of having of supply partners? What is that all about?
Yeah, I think in essence, it is about creating innovation and transformation in the supply chains. And one good example of that is this Hållbar waste bin that I already mentioned about, because there we are creating now an ecosystem working together with waste pickers, with aggregators that would do fragments of materials, and then material producers that would do material in the end for our end producer doing the products. So already by a change in just one product, we create an ecosystem of other providers that are equally important to do innovation and transformation in the supply chain. I can also come back to this situation where we were talking about the furnitures and the eucalyptus forest. By our partner creating seedlings and selling them to farmers, it means that they are creating upskilling and education for the farmers on how to take care of the forest. It creates an opportunity to have providing for the family and the people around the farmers, but also to sell the forest back to our producers, where we can produce then different raw materials that we can use in our furnitures. So by working in that way in ecosystems, there is a need for innovation, and each step, in order to make this to a low cost and not a very high investment from beginning, it needs to be taking time, so that we do it in a cost-conscious way, because the risk is otherwise that we are driving up cost. So I think that is, if we don't only look at our products, we also have the example of the EV trucks, where we now have our first long-haul EV trucks driving on India roads for IKEA. And this is a SME company that we are working together with, called Bangalore Logistics. And they have, normally we would say that EV has a high initial cost. But since we were working closely with them, we've been managing to have a lower cost, more products per truck, and lower emissions on our supply chains. So it meets all the different areas. But of course, there was a need to create an create investments in infrastructure. There was a need to do the technology of the trucks, to really plan the flows according to what we can use so that we can fill up and have less empty runs. So it's now 160,000 kilometers per year that we are saving by having these EV trucks. So I think the ecosystems is not only in products, it's in the complete supply chain, since we are in taking different parts. And with EV trucks, we should be very proud, because here India is a pioneer globally.
This is amazing. The way you are building ecosystems, growing entire forests before you even start producing the furniture, or aggregate in the collecting with the help of rack pickers, engaging rack pickers on the streets and aggregate all the things that have been thrown away. By the way, how many rack pickers would you be engaging with? Would it be all of India?
Sorry, I don't have that number. Maybe I can come back with that number. Sorry, I don't want to guess.
But would that be across India? You'll
Yes.
have rack pickers collecting for an IKEA product?
Yes, so we are making sure that we are working with good partners. So maybe that's what I want to add. It's not IKEA doing this. We are not growing forest, or we are not innovating EV trucks. But what we can contribute with is that we can transfer knowledge from one part of the world to another part. And by getting the partners to work in a global ecosystem, we can move much quicker. So, I mean, we are not the ones doing this. The real heroes are the SMEs and the suppliers in our supply chain.
Amazing. Amazing.
That wants to work with us.
And are there instances of small and medium suppliers who eventually became big?
Yes.
With IKEA?
Yes. At least a third of the suppliers we are using in India are in that size. And I think many of them started out as SMEs and are now considered to be larger businesses. So since we have this strict set of requirements, we are going out with our own way of doing code of conduct. We verify our own suppliers, which means that when we do verification audits, we can give advice and have a dialogue on how to have a legal setup in the company, and making sure that you have good way of managing your co-workers. So this creates good preconditions to have other customers and to continue to grow. And this we have many examples of. I didn't bring a specific example for you today, so maybe we need to take that in a follow-up.
Yeah, sure. But tell me, do all your Indian suppliers get an opportunity to supply to your global markets?
Yes. Because, and now I answer very frankly, yeah, because the whole business idea of being a low-cost retailer, production-oriented retailer, is fueled by volume. So meaning that we need, in order to keep the low cost, we need to have the volumes. So whenever we start a product or a supplier relationship, but there has to be from the precondition that they will work on a global scale, so that we bundle the volume and create the best preconditions for those products. So I mean, that is also one of the keys to have beautiful high-end furnitures to a good price. It's the volumes that are helping us to reach that.
I've read that IKEA's approach towards sustainability is more than a set of environmental commitments. It is a fundamental reimagining of how products are designed, manufactured, used, and valued. We spoke about that. And that you have, your aim is to halve emissions by 2030 and achieve net zero status by 2050. So how does circularity, democratic design, and supply partner ecosystem, all these things weave into your sustainability objectives. I mean, sure, I can understand that they all are leading towards that. But now, isn't this a huge web of design to take the company towards sustainability?
Yes, it is. But I think we are all convinced that we have to. Because the world will require us to, our customers will ask us to, and we all get inspired by it that work for IKEA. So I think that setting long-term directions like that can look very frightening from the outside, but it's a way for us to lead our daily, yearly, and strategic decisions towards that direction. And by that, we find opportunities. So in 2021, IKEA did a commercial called What If Strategy, which was launched. And if you watch that movie, you will see that many of the things that we say in that movie has happened. So we now have furniture that can be reassembled and taken apart when you move. That was not the case at that point. We have products that are made from recycled material fully. That was not the case before. So there is many things in that thinking what if, which was all about creating, this mindset that let's set high directions because it makes sense, and then lead towards them, because we will find solutions along the way. And I think maybe this web of networks of partners, that's not hindering us. It's the opposite. That is what is helping us moving in that direction.
Can we say that sustainability would be the imperative for all enterprise all over the world eventually? I mean, everyone would have to take that up as their eventual goal.
I think so. And I think our children are telling us so. So, I mean, we all have to focus on creating a sustainable world and making sure that we also reach more of the many people in the world, because we know from our reports that we are also sharing globally through IKEA that many consumers have less money. Many consumers are struggling. And the home is the place where they can feel safe. So we need to continue to have that ambition. And I think all companies could benefit from having that, because it's also a good business to do more sustainable business.
I think COVID did show us that home is the safest place to be in. And we started respecting the home space much more.
True.
And so many other things have come out of that. The way we look at our health, the way we eat, the way we spend time, value our family, and work-life balance. Everything somehow changed overnight because of COVID.
Yes, true. But I also think a positive thing from it is that we became more aware on how important it is for us to have that. So that's maybe what we are trying to now incorporate when we share about customer insights, which we share externally as well in our reports. So they are available for anyone to go in and read.
Well, Linn, I think what you've told is truly humbling, to even try to imagine that what noble missions IKEA has taken on, and how it is taking up entire societies along with it, so that everyone can benefit. As you say, for the many and not the few.
Yes.
So that's really amazing. And I find it so motivating.
Thank you so much. It's what inspires us every day. And it's a pleasure to be part of a brand like IKEA that also believes in it.
Thank you for sharing your views and taking out time today for this conversation.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me.